Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good and pleasant day to all of you there following us on Leadership Podcast. Both to you in Nigeria and in the diaspora, we say welcome for another edition of the Money Radio. Money Radio is a program that keeps you abreast of all the happenings in Nigeria from an economic and financial standpoint. I'm your host, Case Hammond. With me in the studio is You're all welcome.
Thank you.
Today we are discussing two topics on Money Radio. One is exhaling inefficiency in the petroleum industry, which will be followed by what is written on National Economy's white box today. Labour will be involved in talks on petroleum price hike. These are palatable topics. You agree with me? We say welcome to you. So, instead, let's start the program. Exhaling inefficiency in the petroleum industry. The crux of this topic is that despite the fact that the PIB has been passed into law, which is the PIE, the Petroleum Industry Act, and we know that the industry is supposed to be completely deregulated. We see some old folks or some old players in the market that are still trying to bring in their old ideas and their old technology, their old acts, their activities into what is about to evolve. Yes. Like the NNPC, we see that they want to revive those old refineries and bring them to compete. Using whose money, we don't know. So that's the issue we want to discuss. Recently, the government released information that they were going to revive the old contact.
Yeah. To commend the government for putting to rest all the ongoing back and forth over the industry. The petroleum industry traversed several administrations. Now we have the Petroleum Industry Act, an enabling govern activities of the petroleum transparent, run efficient as it should, and meet with international best practices. So for me, that's a big win, placing it on the map with all other viable countries of the world.
We say kudos.
So kudos to Nigeria. kudos there. So now to what you said, plans to revive the 4 refineries. Let me just say that if the idea of the Petroleum Industry Act is to make the industry more efficient, to be able to run profitably and compete with other companies, I don't see putting more money now to revive our 4 refineries as being something that will lead to efficiency or profitability.
Let's
You-
remind
okay.
our listeners that over the past 6 years, just over the past 6 years,
Yeah.
between 2015 and now,
No.
in fact, between 2015 and 20, sometime beginning of 2021, the federal government spent close to 2 trillion naira on reviving those refineries. With that, let's go ahead.
2 trillion
Naira.
naira. And within this period, if we want to look at the amount that has been spent on capital expenditure, funding infrastructure within the country, necessary infrastructure, you will find out that these refineries have got a good portion of that amount.
Yeah.
Yet they have produced technically nothing, because the NNPC still imports the refined products that we use up till now. So uh, putting fresh money into it, especially at this point where we'll be having new the PIA opening up the sector for fresh investment from new technologies and so on.
Why go back
What
to investing taxpayers' money into those dead refineries? You get a point. Why invest in those dead refineries? Let's take our minds back. Government had been investing in these refineries before. Nothing. Why now? Whereas we are talking about infrastructure, the roads are bad. Electricity, there's huge need for investment in that sector, and there's so much more. So why invest money again into dead refineries? As a matter of fact, those technologies may be old. We have new technologies, and we have
you said may be old. Of course they are
old.
old.
Yeah.
Of
We have-
course they are old.
So,
How-
so we have Dangote that is about to come on stream. Then Rabiu Samad is building another refinery in Akwa Ibom. That was announced sometime last year. Yeah, last year. That was announced about a year ago.
200,000 barrels per day
refinery.
capacity refinery.
From
So put together
yes.
now, Dangote is coming up with 650,000. Boy is planning a 200,000 barrels per day capacity. So put together, we are looking at 850 barrels capacity per day at the end of the day. And
the Nigerians, the population, the needs of the economy can't consume that much. Of course, we will have to. Those players will have to sell in the markets of neighboring countries.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, and don't forget that with the Petroleum Industry Act now signed,
Yeah.
with the planned implementation, it opens the road for other investors to come in.
Yeah.
So we are not going, at the end of the day, we are not going to just have those two big players within that space. There are going to be so many other investors coming in.
Yeah.
So that is more and more increased capacity going forward. And these people are coming with newer technologies that can work more efficiently, produce more efficiently, and they're going to even build these refineries at costs that are much lower than government is pumping in to revive these moribund structures.
But let's look at let's look at things from their standpoint. They say, according to what the Minister of State for Minister of Silver.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources.
Yes, Minister Silver. Yeah. He said the federal government, it would be bad business to sell moribund or dead refineries to investors. So, from their standpoint, they say they want to revive those refineries and then sell them at least some appreciable amount to the benefit of government. What do you think from that standpoint?
The government has been trying to sell these refineries to different parties at some point for a very long time, and all of them has not yielded any success. So, and like we pointed out, new technologies coming up. At this point, putting more money into the refineries with their old equipment, old technologies, and how will they be? I don't believe they will be able to compete favorably and efficiently with the new um, players that are coming in. More so with the plan that NNPC is going public. NNPC is becoming a privately, though still owned by government, but will be run independent
Yeah,
of government.
to make profit.
To make profit. So putting in a lot of this monies now will bog down NNPC's profit.
Yes.
More so where they have to compete with newer refineries, newer technologies, and then more efficient production, if I may say.
What do you think is the objective then? Is it to keep boys having a salary, or what do you think is the objective? Is it to just keep people having a job, or because from an economic standpoint, it doesn't make that much meaning to me. Let's still cast our minds back. This thing, government has been spending money so much, and it has yielded nothing. So what did government do then that, or what is government intending to do now that it didn't do then to make this thing more profitable? I don't see it. I don't get it really.
I think it's a way of government does not want to. It's finding it difficult to answer. Government has been in charge of many of these operations for so long that um, having to answer and hand over control to the private sector to run seems difficult. But at the end of the day, I think government will just have to force its hands to let go, pumping more money, sinking much more of the taxpayers' money, um, a sinking hole that will. Let's look at it this way. Right now, much of the money that government is generating right now is funding recurrent expenses.
Yeah.
They are paying salaries, they are funding the running of government operations. What is left for capital um, expenditure is minimal at this point. With a huge debt, government is actually borrowing hugely to run the recurrent expenditure. And then, rather than borrow part of this money, because refineries will still be funds that have been borrowed, and that will continue to be serviced year on, year out. That will be inherited by um, the incoming the administrations after them. So
and our children.
yes. So why not put these monies into
More profitable
ventures, ventures that would enhance it and make the private sector able to produce services such as roads, such as structure to enhance and so on, and boost the economy.
Yeah.
Rather than that, that was the whole essence of the petroleum industry act, to take government away from this thing so that the private sector, who is it,
We'll do it more
we'll do it
efficiently.
more.
In a way, we are saying to government inefficient, inefficiency, the petroleum industry.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money. Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Money Radio. And still in the studio with me is welcome. We're about to discuss a related topic. The organized labor say they will be involved in talks on the petroleum price hike, a sequel to the Petroleum Industry Act. By now, since last week, that was the 16th of August, when President Buhari signed the Petroleum Industry Bill and it became an act, the issue of subsidy is supposed to be over. So, going by what government officials say in recent times, they say that cost of a liter of petroleum is about 216 naira. That we can expect that maybe we should be paying about 530, 40 naira for a liter of fuel by this time. But the government recently came up to say, no, it's not going to be that automatic. It's not going to be that swift. And organized labor came to say, we will be involved in petroleum price hike in the near future. So there we are. Is the petroleum industry its course as we have all been anticipating?
Well, I'm in Nigeria right now. When I first got wind of the fact that the petroleum, the bill has been signed, is now an act.
Yeah.
My first happened to me was like, oh, no more fuel subsidy. How much of it? And with that, I was like, what Nigerian out there? How much are we going? How will this amount to how product and every other price out there? In fact,
I personally went into panic buying. The night before that Wednesday. Yeah.
It's actually activated its own attack.
Yes.
So it was well that it's not going to be automatic. Then I said, oh, and I'm sure a whole number of Nigerians out there, if they sign the implementation that government that and a committee was set up eventually and a period had been given for the implementation. Good, it's I
But
see it as,
that is a disservice to the Petroleum Industry Act. In talking about investors coming in, investors play in that industry. They look forward to a fair market.
of course,
So,
everything is a two-edged sword that way. If had been ironed out or signed, but of course it's like government on to sign the act when it was ready with all the modalities that will uh, decision
yeah.
of the system. Imagine wake up a day after it was signed and you have to buy petrol.
That would have been last week Thursday.
Last week Thursday, and you have to buy petrol for maybe 250. Not at one point suggesting 300
Yes.
per liter.
Yes.
So imagine what that would have done that we are in. See
Yes,
the hike in food, the hike in every other thing. Our are barely reduced to the purchase is next to nothing currently. And then we're now subsumed, we're now faced with that kind of situation just overnight. So let's just say government was not yet ready with the implementation, but for some reason they had to sign the act and put it into motion.
Sincerely, my take, I will say thanks to government because intervention, I will call it an intervention because by right, we are supposed to have market determined price right now of fuel.
Yeah.
This is an intervention, although point is a disservice to the act, but it's a kind of intervention. The reason I say thanks to government is at least government is considering the plight of ordinary Nigerians, right? I say so because if you have up to 33% of the population, no, not 33, up to 40%, no, the unemployment rate
It's 33.
33%, yes, 33% of the population have so many young people out there that are just eking out a living. You have inflation so high, up to almost 20%. Food inflation. There is nothing more sure to inflation than the increase in the price of knows that that would be that is a good reason they have decided subsidy until things can improve. Or what are we waiting for to be? My best guess is that government, the coming on stream of Dangote whereby they will be able to adapt production instead of substitution at this point. Because if you look at we are selling fuel, crude oil. We're selling crude oil, not fuel. We're selling so reduced price. It's not at a yes, it's so and so reduced price. It is for you, Mr. Dangote or Mr. Ra, to sell at that reduced cost to our people. And I think it's with that hope that government intervene at this time until when Dangote refinery, and probably this is the fourth or fifth promise. We have a next
yes, that is the hope. Dangote refinery is built to become a quarter of next year.
That is about the fourth.
Let's hope that this time everything it will come on stream. If Dangote refinery comes on stream to schedule, and then implementation of the act is to begin by August. By then, the situation within the system,
yes,
the prices would have been determined. Every structure would have been in place. It would be easier on the. So you're right if you call it an intervention, even though it's like we anticipated, but than none.
Yeah.
So what carried is that labor, the template from PP remains, while government negotiation with labor on this will be. But government also went on, because of the Petroleum Industry Act, prices will still be subjected to market.
Yeah.
So, but if we have that is refinery that is refining consumption, it may don't have the issue of landing costs.
Yeah.
We don't have the issue of importing the vagaries of getting the product companies who just so
this refinery or the owned by private investors. Actually, if you look at the savior of this, you imagine 40% of Nigeria's import bill, foreign import bill.
Yeah, that
goes into products.
That's another
yes. We hope for that. Government should do or to assist these bringing their refineries on stream. Hopefully, things will get better.
Sure.
By this time next year.
Of course.
So, Labour is saying that they will get involved. Well, they consider the ordinary man. That ordinary man out there is really going through terrible. So, thanks for being here with us. It's been another bumper edition of. Tomorrow is another day we create followership by tomorrow. In the studio with me has been
Say Antonio. Cool.
And we say thanks to management. Thanks to you also, our viewers. Have a nice day.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.